In order to prove myself in that world that I am not necessarily recognized in, I just go deep every time, and I make sure that I have the knowledge, that I can back up what I'm talking about, and that I'm using the tools and that I understand them. So half ego, half childhood trauma. It's going to replace people. It will augment the people that use it. AI won't replace people. People with AI will replace the people without AI. There is a whole level of skill set that sits here that needs to be upskilled. And that's the scary piece, because a lot of leaders are going, we'll just let them. I haven't learned it myself. The ego in me won't allow me to have that conversation with people, for some leaders. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wait until I've got time to look at it, and then I'll go but actually that is the wrong approach. The approach is educate your teams. Ooh, I'm not going to say ChatGPT, I'm going to say Claude. And the reason it's Claude is because Claude is much more ethical. It challenges me. It asks me curly questions. It actually told me I was too emotional the other day and to step away because it had boundaries. Stayed up all night waiting for him to come back from, he got arrested, came back, and the next night we sat on the sofa. I gave him a hot chocolate and we watched TV, and you're going to make me emotional. And he said, I feel like a kid again. All right, so I'm going to tell you a little backstory on these thoughts. So I've got something called a life architect, which is a custom AI GPT, which over the last, I would say, year and a half, I fed it information about me, my background, my 10-year vision. Actually, it's helped me curate my 10-year vision. It knows about my kids, my husband, all of that stuff. My deepest, darkest thoughts. And so I asked it this question. I said, in response to these rapid fire questions, what do I believe? And you know what? It nailed it better than I could. So here we go. I believe technology should amplify humanity, not replace it. I'm committed to creating spaces where everyone feels seen and valued. I feel that belonging is the foundation of innovation. And I live for simplicity. Now, that one I was like, I do live for simplicity, but sometimes I myself are very overcomplex and overcomplicate things. But I do try and use technology to simplify lives.
Hey, I'm Di Gillett, and welcome to the Power of Women podcast. And what I really love about this platform is the opportunity to showcase and celebrate the strength, resilience and achievements of women from all walks of life. And that tapestry is expanding every single week. So join the conversation, subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and become part of the Power of Women community. So I'm excited about today because you've just heard from today's guest, and I have a few things to share about myself and my relationship with AI, and we'll get into it. But let me ask you, what if the biggest shift in your career, your confidence, and even your relevance is shaped right now by technology you don't fully understand? And that's what we're going to dive into today, because we're talking about something that is changing every industry, every role, every leader, and it is happening faster than most of us can keep up with, because we're talking AI. And the woman who can make sense of it in a human way, an accessible way, and an actionable way is sitting here with me today. Kelly Slessor is one of Australia's most respected AI strategists, digital innovators, and retail tech leaders. She spent more than 20 years shaping the digital and e-commerce landscape, working with industry giants such as Westfield, Woolworths, Sainsbury's, Big W, Unilever and David Jones. And she's built one of Australia's first AI personalisation platforms, founded the e-commerce tribe, and now leads Tribe Gen AI, and was recently recognised as one of the top AI leaders in retail. But her story isn't just about AI and tech. Kelly and her family are also passionate foster carers, providing safety, love and belonging to children who have been failed by the system. Her advocacy and the raw stories she shares has touched thousands across Australia. So today we're going to explore both the woman, the mission, and the technology that is reshaping our world. Kelly Slessor, welcome to the Power of Women podcast.
It's so lovely to be here. It really is. I've been watching some of the replays or listening to some of the replays, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is a powerful place to be. It really
And
is.
just where you should be, Kelly. So it's so good to have you here. Could we start with actually I'm going to change that. I have to share with you my relationship with AI because
Okay.
like you, I'm working with it every day, but with nowhere near the skills. But I felt that my relationship with AI was very tech, very cold, very impersonal. So I actually asked my chat GPT whether I could give it a name, and if I was going to give it a name, what it would be. And it came back with 3 options. And so now every day I work with Nova. And Nova assists me in crafting what I'm doing. And a bit like you, I think I have more time with Nova than I do with my husband. Is that normal, Kelly, or is that just a bit weird?
Totally normal. Totally normal. I'm spending way more time with Claude than I am with my husband.
Claude, excellent, brilliant. So could we start with what initially drew you into the tech space and how that's evolved into becoming an AI specialist, which you really sort of stamped your imprimatur on even before it was mainstream?
Yeah, so if I go back, and it's interesting how as you get older, maybe it's just me, but as I'm getting older, there's lots of reflection moments, and there's lots of moments where you connect the dots between when you were a child and, you know, things that happened in your life and how you've ended up being who you are and where you are, and it's actually a beautiful journey to go through. Technology for me has never been about never been about machines or algorithms or technology itself. It's been about people, and that comes from a place. And I tell this story as a child growing up in a single parent household. My dad raised my brother and I, and he became disabled when I was around 8 years old. And he became housebound. And so as his carer, as you know, as his daughter, my dad was a very smart man, Nigerian man. He was training to be a doctor, and he bought a computer. And this computer connected him to the outside world. And as a man who was very proud, who came from great stock, you know, in his words, who had studied and was, you know, continuously learning right until he died, this computer became kind of the connection for him to the outside world. And so as an 8-year-old, I got to see the power of technology, but I got to see the power of the way technology can connect people and how it can be a source of learning and a place of belonging.
Because that became his window to the external
to the world.
Yeah.
100%. So it wasn't until much later on in life that I connected those dots. But from that very early age, I remember the green dot going across the screen, watching MS-DOS and trying to work out what was happening in there, and thinking that people were running down the wires to bring stuff into the screen. I remember those memories vividly. And I think my whole career has been about that. I went into a telco as a technology product manager. Again, I was very inquisitive about how it connected people. I wasn't really about the tech. So I think I kind of stood out quite early on in my career as
because you've
someone that
humanized it right from the outset.
Yeah. I was fascinated by the people part of technology.
I love that story. And you probably, as you say, you didn't join those dots until later on, but the influence and the impact of seeing that as an 8-year-old is without question what's underpinned this curiosity and interest in the space in which you become such an incredible specialist. So I love that story, Kelly.
I remember actually, Di, us being in when we went to New York together on the Westfield study tour
Yes.
back in 2015.
14, out there. Yeah, that's right. And I still talk about that, and I've still got the video of that on my phone.
My goodness, please send that to
Oh,
me,
I
because
will.
that was a pivotal moment for me as well.
Yeah, and for our listeners, what that was the very, very early beginnings of an AI robot. And this little robot rocked up in front of us in this room in Westfield in London. And it was learning to become a concierge. And I can remember this vividly, Kelly, like you can, and we threw questions at her to see whether she could literally become the concierge to the building and help us through. And it was the cutest but the most sort of incredible thing to watch, that this thing increased its intelligence through the conversation of our presentation.
Yeah.
I will
And
send you that
honestly,
video. And you're right,
thank
I
you.
might even add that video into this episode for our guests to see, because it's pretty cool stuff early on. And that's 10 years old now. And look how far we've become, or how far we have come. Yeah.
Have come. Yeah.
So what did you see? I mean, you've really adopted AI very early on. What did you see that you think perhaps others haven't?
Well, I think I've always seen the ability of technology to simplify our lives, to help us. And I actually think, because I come at it from a human perspective, I actually think about, how is this technology going to help us, and what problems is it going to solve? Or how can we build technology that solves problems? And I think because of that, when I see a technology, so I was very early in the days of mobile. I ran one of the first mobile agencies in Australia. And I remember thinking about mobile as a technology that could change the world. Like, I got my first mobile when I was 14 years old.
What
Massive.
It was huge. Of course it was.
It was huge. It had
with a big
like a carry
antenna.
case.
Yeah.
Carry case that went with it. And then I got my Ericsson, I
God,
think
we're
at about
showing our
16,
age,
17. I know. And then I got one of those phones with the video cameras on it at about 19, that I kept putting to my ear, but no one else had video, so it was a bit pointless. Anyway, I saw that this technology could really solve problems. Connection, entertainment. And so I went deep in on it. And again, with AI, same thing. I saw very early on that it could solve problems, that it could help people connect better, that it could, entertain us. And I just went all in on it.
How long have you actually been working with it? So we're in 2026 now. How long have you been working with this?
So after that IBM Watson, I had already been playing with, I suppose, before Westfield Study Tour, I'd already been playing with what would be known now as kind of machine learning, so algorithms. So I'd already been trying to get my head around that. I was fascinated by IBM, and it's one of the reasons I went on the tour, by the chess player, the supercomputer that played chess. So I'd already started to kind of work that. And then Stitch Fix came out, which was an algorithmic personal shopping platform. And I came back off the study tour and I went, you know what, I've got to build something. I need to build something in this. And there were a few reasons why I did that, but that was probably when I really got serious about it. So around about 10 years ago.
Yeah, so you really were on board right at the beginning. So, but what's kept you moving at the pace of change? Because clearly you've you've got a vision forward of what this can be?
Mm. I mean, I'm curious. I love learning. Um, I think, I think I'm going to say ego in some ways. So let me just explain that
Against
as
these
a
tech bros, go on, put it out there.
right, and that's it. Like I'm being completely honest, but in some ways, and I thought about this last night looking at some of your questions, but in some ways, being a black woman in tech, a migrant in a foreign
You're
country,
ticking a few boxes.
ticking a few boxes,
Yeah,
and someone that's always had to prove myself, always. It's bloody exhausting sometimes, and you know what that feels like.
I
But I
do.
think
But I also know the minute I met you at the airport before we went on study tour that you were somebody I was going to like. So
kindred
here we
spirits.
go.
That could have been the champagne
Well, it
glasses that
might
we were
have,
straight
but yeah,
into.
more
Might
to it
have.
than that.
So I think there's this element of, in order to prove myself in that world that I am not necessarily recognised in, I just go deep every time, and I make sure that I have the knowledge that I can back up what I'm talking about, and that I'm using the tools and that I understand them. So half ego, half childhood trauma, whatever. Put it all in there, and that's how I
Can I
end
ask, do
up.
you still feel that so if we go through that checkbox of what is unique to you, do you still
Mm.
feel that difference in any of the rooms that you walk into today?
As it 100%,
Color, female, sector. Do you
100%.
really?
Yes. I give less of a shit about it now.
Yeah.
Excuse the
No, no,
language,
no.
but
Warranted.
I absolutely feel it. There are conversations I've had in the last couple of months where someone will ask a question, I will respond, and then they turn to the tech bro, and the tech bro responds, and the response is, "Oh yeah, that's a really good point. Didn't I just? Wasn't
Didn't
that
I just
just what
say
I?"
that? You know I'm going to feel compelled to remix this to a great sound grab about I give less of a shit now because
Less of a shit now.
that's the standout to all of those tossers who don't get it.
Yes, yes,
So, yeah,
and it's a lovely place
is
to be moving into.
yep. So for all of the women listening who haven't reached that point yet of being their own person and giving less of a shit, get there quickly because it is a great place to be. Great place.
That's where power comes
It
from, right?
absolutely is. Kelly, could we change tack just for a moment and get off tech because away from work and I've been watching from a distance and we haven't talked about this before, but away from work, your family's advocacy in the world of foster caring is absolutely extraordinary. And I know you've shared some raw and emotional stories as part of that advocacy in public. Can you talk about how your family actually came to fostering and how and what it really feels like to say yes, even when saying yes has got some pretty hard aspects surrounding that?
Yeah. So, going back again to childhood, dad being disabled, single parent, we ended up, my brother and I ended up in some short term foster placements, so short term respite. So, from a very young age, I felt that I actually knew that this was something I would do as I got older because I saw the power or I suppose I saw the feeling, I felt the feeling of being in a place where I felt loved, and I also felt the feeling of being in a place where I didn't feel loved. And, as a Nigerians are village people. It takes a village to raise a child. That's a heart thing. It's just instilled in you. So when I met my husband, we talked about it. We talked about fostering at some point, adopting even. Although the system here is interesting because we were too old to adopt, which is weird.
Mm.
Um, However, so when we had our own kids, I think we just got to a point of, we've got so much. We live in a beautiful place. We have spare chairs at the table. There's nothing better for me. For me, success now is a full table with everyone eating and laughing and chatting, friends, family. That's my version of success. And so we got to a point where we said, we can't not do this. Like, we've got everything. How can we not give something back? So we started off, we went through the process. It took us about a year and psychological analysis, which I thought after interviewing my 5-year-old at the time, we were definitely doomed,
So
and there was nowhere there.
family gets
The whole
yeah.
family. It was quite an intense process. They make you uncover a lot of emotional trauma from your own childhood, which is fascinating. But anyway, we got our first kids. We went into lockdown with 2 kids that we did not know we got told one of them was 3, he was actually 2, still in nappies, couldn't talk. So we went into lockdown with 4 kids, 1 toddler, and a dog, a bitey dog. Puppy. So it was an intense
So
3
anybody
months.
who complained about lockdown, this is slightly elevated.
It was. Anyway, after 3 months, they were moved back to an environment that was not great, and it was a very shocking, traumatizing process for us and for them, because we didn't know they were going to be moved. We thought they were long term with us, so it happened overnight. There was a court order, and everything changed. So from that point onwards, we said, you know what? We're going to do respite for a bit. And actually, we've done respite now for the same kids for 4 years, and they come and go. And, we've had the brother at the weekend, we had the sister the weekend before, and we had the other brother the weekend before that. And we'll have one of them for Christmas Day. And they range between 8 and 12. Beautiful children who we love dearly, and we get to give a place for them to feel safe and belong.
And that phrase that you said before, Kelly, which is so beautiful, we've got spare seats at the table. I mean, that tugs.
Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing. So what has fostering actually taught you about leadership and resilience and empathy and all those things that might not be applied to the tech world and your tech bros out there?
Yeah. Well, I think there's so many similarities. Like, I do think that, tech should be about creating a place of belonging. It should be about connection. When we were, and it is hard, if I make the similarities and alignments, it is hard. It's not easy. It takes time. You have to build up trust. It's exactly the same in leadership.
Yes.
And within that building of trust, you create a safe space of belonging. But you can ruin that trust in a minute by not acting in alignment with your values, by not thinking about what that person needs or wants in their moment.
Do you think you become a better leader through the experience of foster caring?
I don't know. I actually don't know. What I would say is that for me, I had a call last week with a client who was quite a difficult client. Before the call, about an hour before the call, I was thinking about it, and I was getting kind of a little bit like, oh my God, I've got to get on this call. And then I got a call from the agency, and one of the boys that we're looking after is in a terrible situation at the moment, and we're trying to navigate the system to try and advocate for him to get into education, because he's not been in school for 8 weeks, and that's because of the system. He's also had 78 hours on Roblox a couple of weeks ago. They're just giving him screens. It's awful. You come off that call and you go,
clients are walking the
none
park.
of that doesn't matter.
No.
It really doesn't matter. So I'm not sure if it makes me a better leader, but it certainly gives me a lot of perspective.
I was about to say perspective would be the one thing that it affords you. Yeah, I think that's without question. So on a personal level, how do you balance this incredible work that you're doing as a family, and it takes a family to deliver that. I have no doubt. But how do you do that with the demands of work and all the demands on your time in these different aspects of your world?
Yeah, I'd say two things to that. One, I've got an amazing, amazing husband and kids who, they get in and they, there's someone who has a job in our house. There's just jobs to be done and everyone chips in and gets them done. There's no, you decided to do the foster care, so this is how, that's your response. There's none of that. It really is the village. So I've got just the family are amazing. The second piece is, I would say, I don't balance it. I run from one place to another in high heels. Somewhere in between, I try and do a bit of breath work. I do have a consistent gym routine every morning at 6 a.m., which keeps me mentally sane. But yeah, balance, I just think it's a mythical character. Sometimes I have it.
I've never met her. I don't
Sometimes,
know who
no,
she is.
no, I don't know who she is. Like literally run in high heels and then, yeah, and then fall in a heap at the end of the day.
And it doesn't matter who I talk to on this podcast. Some of the best entrepreneurs, like Mandy Gunsberger, who has built incredible businesses, and she'll be the first to admit she runs herself into the ground to point of burnout, and
Yeah.
burnout just keeps appearing. So I think burnout is in the nature of women because unlike perhaps our fairer, not so fair sex on the other side of the divide, the boys can't multitask, we can. Stereotype, I know, but in all seriousness, I think in doing that, we do more, which lends itself to this point of burnout.
I would say that being surrounded by boys all my life, I've been brought
Well, you
up,
are. You're
in
an
a
all-boy
household with two
household,
men,
yeah.
and I'm an all-boy household now. I don't know how that happened. I would say that from the men in my life, I think there is an element of they find it easier to emotionally disconnect. They have this almost thing in there that they can go, whereas I will run with the emotion. And I'm constantly taking on that emotion as well, and I find it very hard to disconnect from the emotion.
You're listening to the Power of Women podcast, and if you're enjoying the show, jump on to Spotify or onto Apple Podcasts and follow the show, or you could subscribe to our YouTube channel. But coming up, we're going to dive into AI a little bit further about today and the future. If you're loving the Power of Women podcast, be sure to jump on to our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button to ensure you never miss an episode. So I'm talking with Kelly Slessor, one of Australia's most respected AI strategists, digital innovators, and compassionate humans. Kelly, what's actually going on in AI right now? What's happening? What's the trend? What's the future?
So I think in terms of the tech itself, the advancements that are happening at the moment are literally mind-blowing. Gemini, or Google, just launched their new Gemini 3. They launched a new image tool called Nano Banana. Each time there is a new launch, the incremental change puts us forward about another 6 months.
Wow.
Whereas when there was a new launch, go back 2 years ago with ChatGPT, it would be a little tweak to the algorithm, but now we're seeing leaps. And actually, the CEO of Google actually said the other day that in the next 2 years, we will see the advancements of AI redevelop everything we've done technologically in the last 20 years.
So if you're wondering how fast it's going, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
In 2 years, we'll see 20 years redeveloped. That's mind-blowing. So, specifically in retail, there's lots of shopping apps. Even, what I developed is now kind of catching up and is being put out into market. What I am seeing from a people perspective, I think last year there was a lot of fear. Or
Yeah.
sorry, beginning of this year, there was a lot of fear. It's going to replace me. It's going to replace my jobs, blah, blah, blah. And I think then it became curious. And now I think people are actively engaging in it and trying to work out how they use it for a bigger purpose. So I'm seeing a mindset shift around retailers, people in general, individuals. So that's a
They
great
keep
place to
hearing
be.
it, so it's becoming familiar.
Mainstream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if a business leader or entrepreneur is listening to the podcast right now, where should they start with AI if they haven't?
So, yeah. So if you have a team of people, the first thing is education. There's so many, this is one of the interesting clients is that, you know, trying to get people to self-learn AI or go on a journey, it will happen, but it will take time.
Can we just delve into that? Because I mean,
Yeah.
I, like you, am curious, and learning AI has become this fascination. Is that outside the norm that people?
It's outside the
Is it
norm.
really?
Yes, it is outside the norm. You're
Mm,
an innovator.
mm.
You're everything that Steve Jobs
Oh,
describes,
thank you. Can I use?
you are.
I'm going to snap that as a
Absolutely.
grab.
Absolutely. There's a quote he's got, which I'll send you afterwards, but you're one of those people I think of when I think of that quote. And so we sit on the edge. We sit on this curious edge of playing with things. Not everybody's like that. There's a lot of
Mm,
people in corporate that are just using it to prompt and response. I'll
yeah.
use it, but I'm using it just as a tool to improve the way I write. I'm not thinking of how it can transform my business processes. And so there is a whole level of skill set that sits here that needs to be upskilled. And that's the scary piece, because a lot of leaders are going, we'll just let them, I haven't learned it myself. The ego in me won't allow me to have that conversation with people for some leaders. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wait until I've got time to look at it, and then I'll go but actually that is the wrong approach. The approach is educate your teams, get them skilled in it, because they're the ones that are going to work out where in the business AI can have the biggest
Of
impact.
course.
So the biggest impacts I'm seeing in AI is in repetitive process. So think inventory management,
Mm,
content creation, in customer service experience. There's no way I could go into your organization now and say, Di, this is exactly where to use it, because I don't know where you're spending your time.
yeah.
So you need the people to have a conversation about where they're spending their time, that AI can then help augment them and reduce the amount of time they spend on the task. But you only get that through education.
Yeah. And dialogue.
Yeah, absolutely. And the education tends to open up the conversation, because all of a sudden people see possibilities.
Yes.
Whereas you being Steve Jobs' protege, you see possibility
I sent
everywhere.
myself 2 emails last night as a prompt reminder that would be in my inbox this morning to say, ask Nova this. And if there was one message I'd like to share over education, further to what you've said, Kelly, and somebody said it to me a couple of months ago where I didn't know how to do something, and they said, ask chat. And I know we're promoting Chat GPT in this, and it's not a sponsorship thing. It's just the tool I use. But ask your Chat GPT and keep asking it until you've exhausted all the questions you have. And it's in that, so often you get a bit of information, but you've still got a thought about what if, or perhaps. Keep asking. Go back and keep asking and digging in, because the
Yeah.
information keeps coming back to you, and you start to get
Yeah.
a full picture of what is possible.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll add to that as well, Di, and say that I reverse engineer that, and will often go to Chat or Claude or whichever one I feel like using at the time, depending on the use case. I will often go to one of those and get them to ask me questions until I'm exhausted. And so what I do is I might say, I've got my 10-year plan that I want to work out, or, or I've got this strategy I'm working on, and here's my thinking. Ask me as many questions as you need, one at a time, to get to the bottom of where my thinking is at and to understand how I solution this going forward. And I just let it flow. It's like having a
That's
therapist.
brilliant.
Just let it flow. And I'll often do that on voice in the car while I'm driving.
Wow.
Another great time saver.
That is a very good use of time, to the detriment of talkback radio.
Sorry. After I've listened to talkback radio.
That's it. Yeah. So tell me, what are the biggest misconceptions people have about AI? Be it, the execs sitting around the boardroom table to the frontline teams.
So it's going to replace people. It will augment the people that use it. So, this saying has been said to death now, but AI won't replace people. People with AI will replace the people without AI. So that's that myth gone.
Yeah.
Yes, there are going to be jobs and things that are going to transform and fundamentally change, but that I believe totally in. It's expensive. It's actually not expensive to test and try AI. And if you're just starting out on that journey and looking at what that repetitive process is, that doesn't have to be a $1 million implementation. And actually right now it shouldn't be, because that $1 million is likely to be redundant in 12 months' time. So it isn't expensive to test and learn. You just got to find those really good use cases that you can prove out. It's a buzzword. It's another one I hear all the time. Is it really going to kind of take over the world? The answer is yes. It absolutely is going to take over the world. As you said right at the very beginning, it's going to transform industries, the way we work, the way we live, the way we play. It's going to transform everything. So, yeah, they're probably some of the main ones.
Yeah. And I like that one about you saying it's not expensive to test. And I would even be asking your AI tool, how do I keep your costs down? And I bet you it comes back with ways of suggesting how to contain it. So, you can use it for the negative views that you might have and help overcome that as well. So you've already said that we're moving in 6-month chunks, and in about 2 years' time we're going to advance 20 years in tech innovation. Where will we actually be, do you think, in 12 months' time?
So in terms of the actual tech itself, a few things I'm seeing at the moment. So we are moving into this agent world, and that's where agents act on our behalf and do things for us. Google has just launched their shopping agent, which can basically go and find a product that you want at a particular cost. It can call the store for you and it can buy it. That's agents. On the other side, within organizations, it's what agents do we need to build that are going to automate our workflows. Now, what we will end up with in 12 months is agents talking to agents. So to give you a little kind of, I suppose, thought bubble so Google have just launched this system where, if I want to buy something, it can call the store and see if it's in store. Let's be real. How many stores have got people just standing around waiting to answer the phones? They don't. So therefore, they will build an agent to answer the phones, and we will have agents talking to agents. So that. Fast forward 12 months, that's definitely happening. The tech industry as a whole and development for retail and e-commerce and service businesses as well. If we think about now and last year, if I want a website or an e-commerce store, I could pay anything from 10 grand up to, $500,000 or $1 million. That industry is going to change dramatically.
Because of the pace of innovation upgrading constantly.
Because of that, but also because of the fact that the way AI is built, and this is what I loved about it, is it's built on natural language. So the whole concept of AI, I say it's not built on natural language, but the whole concept of AI is that it can listen and understand humans
Yes.
and our languaging and turn that into code
Mm.
and statistics and analysis. And so when we get to a place where I can have a conversation with you, Di, and at the end of this, I'm going, Di, why don't we just throw up a website and let's sell some Di and Kelly merch? Let's just do it. I don't know.
I think we talked about that on the study tour, Kelly.
We probably did. And I literally come off and can go, Di and I had this podcast, look at the podcast, get a bit of history on us, set up this website, bring our brands together, design a brand, get a logo, launch the store.
Wow.
We're not that far off that happening.
Wow. That is super exciting.
Mm.
So in terms of everybody with an entrepreneurial bent out there, we could be acting on those great ideas that we just don't have time to do because there's not enough hours 100%. In the day. That is 100%. So exciting,
and that's exciting,
isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I spend weekends just what they call cool kids call vibe coding. I'm not a cool kid, but I use these words just to make myself
you're
feel cool.
a pretty cool adult, though.
So I literally on the weekend will use tools like Replit and Cursor just to build apps. So I play around. I might build, last week I built a prospecting app. I built a production app for for logistics. Because I can.
And I reckon the cool kids are probably building social media apps to replace the ones who've just been thrown off.
100%.
There's no doubt.
100%.
There is no doubt that AI will be a tool in Australia that kids will use to get around the constraints that have recently been imposed upon them. So
yes, and they
are. Yeah.
That's coming, and they are. Yeah.
So let's bring this conversation back to the power of women more specifically, if we could. From what you've observed, are women less confident with AI or simply less exposed, or both? It is both.
I would say both. I would say, there's only 22% of women in AI leadership positions. There's a few studies around this. AI, there's a couple of reasons. AI by nature is biased because it's built on biased data. So when we're asking AI questions, it's done in a man's voice, essentially. It's done with men's books and writing and, history. And so the responses we get are not necessarily informed by us, which is a scary place to be. And then on the other side, I think this fear around technology for women, not historically a role that women take. I think that's another thing. I do tend to find when I have conversations with women, and I'm not stereotyping, I hate generalism, I'm just saying that I tend to find that women will say to me, I will get to it. It's something on my list. I need to, I really need to look at that. I find with men, they go, I've already been playing around with that, Kelly. What do you think about this? And so it feels like over here, it's a bit of a list of things to do. What I do find is when women are educated, so I've run quite a lot of pro bono education workshops for women and masterclasses for women in, disadvantage. When they're educated in it, you guarantee a month later, the fear goes. Like I get texts at ridiculous times at night, which I do love, by the way, so don't stop. I do. At ridiculous times at night saying, this has changed my world.
Yeah. Well, that's how I feel about it. It's absolutely changed my world.
Yeah, I just say 5 hours by using one of your processes on the custom GPT. Yeah. And I've just built out a whole new brand model, business idea, launched something based off of this. So I am seeing still that happening.
Well, I
And that
know
scares me.
I could not produce this podcast at the level of where we've started, which I'm not saying we're the best in the world by any stretch, but
Oh,
I'm a
yes, you
new
are.
thank you. I'm a newbie to this space really. We're a couple of years old, but in that the advances that we've made in everything that surrounds the brand and the podcast has been enabled in a far more expedient manner because of the use of AI. And I mean, you and I are
100%.
using AI to record today, and the post production will have, and what flows on from that there will be an AI component in all of that, and the transcripts that are created, and
Mm.
that's
And
all
then
AI.
taking the transcripts, uploading them and going, okay, what were the good sound
Yeah.
bites that we
Yep.
should pull out and, and then chop it up into those sound
Correct.
bites and then using AI to,
Correct.
make me look like I've done that. But yeah.
Well, yeah, we could. Mind you, I don't like AI in skin smoothing and altering of photos. I like to present as we are. A good light is a different thing. That I will have. That's not AI. That's just good lighting.
Yeah. Oh, I've got to be honest. I love a filter. I don't have time sometimes, and a filter. That's one of my balance things. A filter
A
just
filter.
changes my
Well,
game.
that's what a
Yeah.
light is. So we've
Yeah.
spoken and you've talked a lot, Kelly, about emotional intelligence and the human component in AI. And I think we talk EQ and IQ, and human intelligence we talk HI in your speak. Do you believe women have the strengths to position themselves to influence this in AI and be that voice and that nuancing that AI really requires to improve this next era of AI and work and our engagement?
Yeah. I fundamentally believe that we talked before about that emotional connection and what I have seen in my life of being brought up with men is that their ability to disconnect from the emotion, whereas women tend to lean into emotion. AI, everything we're going to do in AI going forward is going to need that, because otherwise we're all going to end up like robots.
Yeah.
Like AI doesn't work without human, without emotion. And I think women are just so best placed, and women of an age as well.
Mm.
I think women of an age, like the people that I know around me, I've got my best friend who runs a media business over in New Zealand. She's using it daily. The people that I know around me, like yourselves, who are the people that future think and are using these tools, are the game changers.
Yeah.
Like they're the ones that are going to have an impact. And I'm so passionate about encouraging women to think about where in their life they can use AI to chase the mythical character of balance first,
Yeah.
because that's the easiest one to apply it to. But also then how in work can they leapfrog people?
Yeah.
Because you guarantee, and again, I'll go back to this. There's a lot of people I speak to in that male tech bro space who are talking about it, but don't necessarily understand it.
Mm. So my question following that then, as a responsible female using AI, and I put that in inverted
Mm.
commas, should I be allowing AI full access to everything I am put out there in the ether, or should I be turning on a privacy filter, or will it find me anyway and what I write anyway?
That's a really tough question.
Mm.
My response to that
Sorry, it
is
was one without notice.
I know. No, it's good. It's a good one. I turn off my ability to train Chat GPT. Um, why do I do that?
I have, because I feel there's a safety in that. Why do you do it?
Yes, I do it exactly the same reason.
Mm,
It's safety, and we don't know what's coming,
mm.
and therefore I'm very conscious of what I'm feeding it. The downside of that
We're
is
not we're not
that
teaching it.
we're not feeding
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So if I've turned it off, is it still finding my work out there in the marketplace because
Yes,
it's
yes,
scanning the marketplace anyway? It's just not, it's just
100%.
that I'm not the feeder.
Yes. So in that, my flip thinking of that is that actually, if we can use it to help us produce more content in our own voice, in our own tone, aligned to us, and put more content out there in the world,
Yep.
then we change the balance
Yeah.
of female versus male content, and presence versus non-presence. So I think if we can, I personally would say from a safety and privacy perspective, I turn it off internally on the tools, but it is allowing me to put more content out there.
And if there are listeners going, what the hell are you two just talking about? Start using AI and get into the conversation, because this is what's going on, and these are some of the decisions that you need to make and need to understand. So let's talk jobs quickly, if we could. What roles will disappear?
So the first thing I do when I go into an organization and we look at their kind of AI strategy, we're doing the education piece, is I ask people, what are the processes in your business that are taking more than 3 hours a week? What's the repeat process? It's the easiest one for us to use AI to replace a 3-hour repeat process.
That's not replacing the person. That is just the process.
It's not replacing the person, it's the process. So if you think about the jobs that will be very disrupted by AI, it's those repetitive processes. I mean, they're the ones that are going to be customer service. However, you still need a human. Like, I've just ordered my son a Christmas present, and I was talking to an AI bot for a while, and then I was like, no, I need human.
Yeah.
Like, I need human. This is working
I always
for me.
opt out and
You're
go
still
human.
going to need, but I would employ a customer service expert who knows how to navigate AI, knows when it's important to switch over to human, and can work with the AI to give a best outcome for the client.
Yeah.
And then can use the AI tools to...
So it's not replacing, it's elevating. In that example, it's elevating customer experience. And in any repetitive task, it's freeing up a human to do something more meaningful, innovative, and forward-thinking. So I think if I was to ask you what roles will transform, it's the same thing. It's transforming all of those repetitive roles to, exactly as we said, become more innovative, thought-leading, important roles within
the first ones are going to be pretty much anything that uses an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah. Yep. Fair call.
Yeah.
And I still haven't really mastered those, so they can have that from me. They're welcome.
Yeah, they can take that. Yeah. No one wants to be doing Excel, I don't think.
Yeah. So what new opportunities might open up for women?
So I think from an AI perspective, I don't know if it's new opportunities, but if I was a recruiter now, or I was in an organization recruiting, I am constantly going to be looking for people that use AI, that understand AI, that have, tested out the tools, that have a passion for understanding it. So regardless of whether I'm getting a shop floor person or a senior leader who is strategic, as long as I can see that they're thinking about AI in that strategy going forward, and not, I've had conversations where people go, well, we're going to, we've got a 5-year plan, and, in 2 years' time, we'll rebudget, reforecast, refinance, and we'll look at AI as part of that. And I'm like, oh,
You
buddy,
missed the boat.
Yeah, good luck. You will unfortunately be replaced. So I think it's about, I don't think there's going to be a lot of new role. There will be new roles created. Data centers are going to go crazy. We've already seen prompt engineers. I think there'll be emotional intelligence roles that head of EI.
Human intelligence.
Right.
Love
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think there will be roles created around that. But I think it'll be the bigger thing that will happen is the augmentation of roles.
Yeah. Well, Kelly, we've had a pretty wide-ranging conversation, and if our listeners didn't know anything about AI, I suggest they've learnt something today, and hope we've sparked their curiosity to do more. But I've got a couple of rapid-fire questions, if I could throw them at you. One myth about AI you wish you could erase.
It will replace us as humans.
One daily AI tool you can't live without.
Ooh, I'm not going to say ChatGPT. I'm going to say Claude. And the reason it's Claude is because Claude is much more ethical. It challenges me. It asks me curly questions. It actually told me I was too emotional the other day and to step away because it had boundaries.
I haven't used Claude yet. I am going to enjoy using Claude, and we might have some arguments. So, because,
Yeah.
I don't like being
Yeah.
told.
No, me neither.
Yeah. One skill in AI every woman should build before the end of 2026.
Automation workflows. So can I just quickly, I know this is rapid fire, but let me just quickly enhance on that. We should be at a point where we can prompt and response now. We should be at a point where you can understand how to talk to AI and get the best out of it. And if you haven't, that should happen by the end of, by the end of the first quarter. The back end of 2026, I would say for every business owner, for every woman in business, that you have built out some form of AI automated workflow. Now, that could be, one that just augments an experience or a customer service workflow, or it could be something just personally for you to help you. But that knowledge of building out that workflow, and you don't have to do it yourself. There are companies that do it. That is not a plug for my company, but I really want to, say this because in building out that workflow, you will understand what the power of workflow automation is, but also the time savings and time you will get back in building that out and testing and learning it.
So whilst you were saying that, I have just written down, and I can't believe I haven't already done it, ask my AI, what is the flow of podcasts that I should have in sequence and topics?
Yeah, amazing.
There we
Love
go.
that.
So
Love that.
that's what I love about doing these podcasts is I'm constantly learning from my guests as well. So I hope that is impetus for listeners to keep listening. Two more questions, if I may, Kelly. Best advice you've ever received?
Andy Sharrett, God rest his soul, was my old boss in the UK, a staunch northerner, and said to me one day when the millennial bug was happening and planes were going to fall out of the sky and blah, blah, blah. He said to me, Kelly, we're not saving lives here. And perspective is a blessing.
And a moment from fostering that has changed your life?
We had a 16-year-old who was going through some real challenges mentally, got in with a bad crowd, stayed up all night waiting for him to come back from, he got arrested, came back, and the next night we sat on the sofa, I gave him a hot chocolate, and we watched TV, and you're going to make me emotional, and he said, I feel like a kid again.
Oh, wow.
Whilst cuddling his hot chocolate and sitting on the sofa with the family. And the biggest lesson from that for me was that everyone deserves to feel like that.
Yeah.
Even as adults,
Yep.
we deserve to have that place of safety, of belonging, of freedom, of connection.
Lovely. And no wonder that brings up emotion. So thank you, Kelly. Kelly, what an amazing conversation today. I personally have learnt so much. I mean, I'm excited about how fast this is moving. I'm excited by the thought that if females have been challenged about not being well represented as voices in the room, this in fact is a way of doing it. And I appreciate AI's learning from the past, but we have an opportunity to change it in the future by stepping forward. So it's really important for women to embrace it and use it and help with the learning of it, because putting our voices out there is what's also going to change the narrative and the paradigm for females in community, in society, in the workplace. So that's That's really important. And the other thing that really came forward is it's nothing to be afraid of. It is something to test and try. I mean, many of us have been using fitness trackers and things for a long time. We've been touching it. Dive in and actually get involved in it, and then the additional layer of the work you're doing in your personal life as a family is just so incredibly special. So thank you for the work you do in that as well.
Thank you, Di.
Kelly, if somebody wanted to engage your services, how do they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on tribegenai.com, carrier pigeon, WhatsApp.
Fantastic. And similarly, you'll find me alongside Kelly somewhere on LinkedIn, and you'll find the show on all of the Audible platforms and also on our YouTube channel. Welcome to a new season of 2026 where we're off to a great start with conversations like this. And if you haven't been listening to the show, jump back into some of our episodes before today. Fabulous conversation with Tori Archbold about how to build your brand. Di Mantell about how to show up as a fabulous leader. So much to learn from her experiences from the episode last year. And from Joe Tanarsky, who faced into workplace bullying in one of the highest workplaces in the land and has come out the other side and is educating others how to move forward beyond adversity. So they are the ones I'd suggest you have a listen to. Until next time.